We're continuing on Shulchan Aruch Archaim, the halachot of Kriyat Sefer Torah, in Siman Kuf Mem Zayin. We're towards the end of Sif Aleph in the Mishna Berura. Maran Shulchan Aruch mentioned that after the aliyot that people got, the greatest person that went up to the Torah is the one that does glila, and people buy this with tremendous price. This is one of the highest bids, so to speak. Maran writes, "Regilim liknoto b'tamim yekarim lechavev hamitzvah," to show the chivub of the mitzvah. So says in the Mishnah Berura in Ot Hey, ve'ita b'Gemara. The Gemara says in Masechet Megillah Daf Lamed Bet Amud Aleph, the agolel, someone that does the glila. Nowadays, that's considered Hagbaha. Hagbaha, Ikar is notel schar keneget kulan. Gets schar equivalent of everybody else that goes up to the Torah. So really the highest kavod is Hagbaha nowadays. So says the Mishnah Berura, therefore, we want the most important person to get it, and people bid higher and higher to do Hagba. Therefore, it's kedai that the greatest person in the shul should be doing the Hagba, that he should be the one getting the schar. Says the Mishnah Berura, Yesh poskim da gadol shebet knesset golel afal pi shu kara b'Torah, that the greatest person in the Bet Knesset, he's the one that's going to do Hagba, even though that he also has gotten an aliyah. V'chen pasak hagra bebiuro, and that's what the Vilna Gaon paskins as well in Berura Gra, and that's the minhag. She'en mechapsin achar mi shekara b'Torah. You give it to the highest kavod, the biggest person in the shul, even if he did not get an aliyah on that specific day. Golelo zeu mikar adin. V'achshav nagu shlo ledakdek bazeh. Now, the person that does Hagba, imagine with the Ashkenazi Sefer Torah, he would also help rolling it close together. Nowadays, says the Mishnah Berura, they're not that specific. To be careful in that, u'mechabadim af la'anashim benonim mishum darchei shalom. Now, this, the Mishnah Berura says, nowadays we're not so careful that the greatest person, the biggest Tamei Chacham, most respected person should do Hagba. We give it also to regular people, to Benonim, to regular people as well, because of Darkei Shalom, because give it always to the same person, and then other people get hurt. We don't want to create such a scenario. And if you have 2 yortzites in the same day, so Shlishi is available only to one person, Echad ala Torah, already one of them got the aliyah, yesh tchabed hasheni b'Hagbaha. You give Hagbaha to the second person. This way, you're respecting both of them in a special way. U'mitzvat gilila ki rabai, even though that the mitzvah of gilila, the Hagbaha, is a great mitzvah. Nahagu lechabed af lektanim sheyesh bahem da'at. They give it even to ktanim who have the mind, they're smart, that they understand the dvarim shebikdusha, and you want to be mechanech them, you want to give them proper upbringing, proper chinuch, b'mitzvot, in the mitzvot pertaining to the Sefer Torah. So this is one of the things that you could give them, and therefore the minhag has evolved that they give it even to a katan. So we came from a place that Shulchan Aruch says you give it to the greatest person in the shul, that, well, the minhag is even to Benonim, even to regular people, and the minhag is also even to minors who understand the concept of Dvarim Shebikdusha and could respect it, and of course they're strong enough to pick up the Sefer Torah safely without dropping it, or without making everyone in the shul nervous that they are going to drop it. So that's of course given. She'en haskar rashay lechabed b'misad hagbaha lemi sheyadav rotatin arbe, and because of that, the Gabbai is not allowed to give the Sefer Torah to someone that has Parkinson's, or his hands shake, or he's not strong enough, either because he's too young, too small in size, or too old and frail, because you're taking a chance over here, or lezaken v'tashkoach, someone that's weak, someone that's old, sheyadua shehu shehu magbiho lashevet miyad ki en lo koach lachzika. The guy picks it up and sits right away, doesn't do a proper hagbah. Aside from the danger of maybe dropping it, he also doesn't do a proper job of hagbah. You need somebody that could pick it up and hold it properly, turn it around slowly, in a way that people could actually look at the Sefer Torah as the hagbah should be done. And even if the gabbai is not careful and he's mechabed, he tells an old individual or a weak individual or someone that his hands shake and so on, the person has to have seichel and say, I cannot do that. I'm not strong enough, or I have pain in my hand and arm, whatnot. And refrain from being mechubad and taking that job of doing hagbah when he knows that he can't do a proper job. Says the Mishna Berura, Urgilim niknoto, this that the people buy it with damim yekarim, this is the most wanted and sought after, that goes for the highest price because of the kavod. Hainu after mitzatatin hagadol kodem lemitzvazu. Even though that halachically speaking, if you were not selling it, you would be giving it to the highest level of tzidkut, the greatest person who is found in the shul. Kayom mishum chibub mitzvah. Nowadays, because of chibub mitzvah, they auction it off, and then whoever gets it, gets it. Bedamim yekarim ve'en lahakpid baze. You don't have to be very specific about it. Let the highest bidder win, even if he's not the greatest person in the shul. Ve'hu kodem lahakadol, and he will have precedent before the greatest person because he bought it. He auction, he won the auction, so to speak. Ve'ayim ben yarabam mashkata baze. Ve'im lo nimtza bebet haKnesset mishekana, and if there's nobody that bought the hagbah, and the gabbai is mechabed to whoever they see fit, then then it's really up to the gabbai to give it to the greatest person in the shul, because the halacha of shkaruch still stands. It's just that, again, nowadays has become the minhag to auction it off. And the minhag is they sell the Hotzat Sefer Torah, Achnazat Sefer Torah, and all of that. Mishum Berov Am Hadrat Melech. More people are involved with the mitzvah. Okay. Now, if a person bought Hagbah of the Sefer Torah, and he bought it for a period of time, some of the shuls used to sell Hagbah for the whole month of Adar, the whole month of Nisan. It would be like the minhag, not just for once, but it will be for a period of time, and then the person leaves town for a trip. So then what do? The Kaf HaChaim writes, then you could have an agent. If you paid for it, you could have an agent that's going to do it in your stead. And he adds also that person that is instead of the buyer, if he gets sick and he can't come to the Bet Knesset, if he's not sick that much, right, that if they bring the Sefer Torah to him, he could do the Glira himself, he could do the Hagbah himself, then he could also make a third Shaliach. Your Shaliach could make another Shaliach that he should do it in his stead. But if he's so weak that he would not be able to do it, even if he would be there next to the Sefer Torah, then he's not allowed to make a shaliach in his stead. The complexities of hilchot of shluchim over here is beyond the scope of this talk, but that's what the Kaf HaChaim brings. And if a person has bought the zchut of hotzat sefer Torah, right, he's bringing it from the Aron Kodesh to the bima and vice versa, and he bought it also for a period of time, not just for once, and now they took out the Sefer Torah that he's not used to, and it's a heavy one. We have here in the Echal probably the heaviest Sefer Torah in town, It's like the largest cloth, and it's extremely, extremely heavy in a heavy box. So not everybody could take that Sefer Torah out, especially if the person that bought this chut of this month of doing all the Hotza'at Sefer Torah or Agbaha, and the regular Sefer Torah is a small Sefer Torah, light Sefer Torah. Now Rosh Chodesh Sefer Torah is a massive, heavy Sefer Torah, and he can't really take this one out, or he can't do Hagbah on this Sefer Torah. Then the Ben Ish Chai writes that because he could do the mitzvah with a different Sefer Torah, right? He bought the mitzvah and he could do it himself with a different Sefer Torah. It's just he's not the problem. The fact that Sefer Torah, this specific Sefer Torah, is too big for him, that's the problem. Therefore, he could make a shaliach. He's still considered someone that could do it himself, and because he could do it himself, he could appoint a shaliach as well, and that would be the halacha. So the general rule of thumb is, if you bought something, you could appoint a shaliach, so long as you could do the thing yourself as well. Now, says the Mishnah Berura, Shcharuch told us in Sif Katan Yud Bet over here. The Rama says, "El la'asod mapot sefer Torah midvarim yeshanim." You should not be making proper cloth that's going to be used for sefer Torah from used items that people have had. Like, you don't get a garment of a person and cut it up and make a cloth for Sefer Torah, a mapa for Sefer Torah. That's not respectful. So it says the Mishnah Berura, but if a person did that already, the Eliyahu Rabbah says that the asur, you could still use them. It's not a problem. Now we're going to deal with this later on in the halachot of Tashmishei Kedusha in Siman Kuf Nun Gimel. Bezat Hashem upcoming. Umiu al kol panim ze vaday sheim asao v'nishtamesh b'hen lekdusha. For sure, if you used it already, if you got them and you already used it for Sefer Torah, right? So then it's going to be become kadosh, right? Asur lo olid rasud mehem tashmish to tashmish. Then you cannot make anything else out of them. They have become tashmishei kedusha. You have to keep them in that level of kedusha going forward. Mapot lesefer Torah hu adin lechol tashmish kedusha she'en na'asin v'dvarim shenishtamesh bahen mitchila lesorach hediot kamvar lekaman. So again, this gets a little bit more into the halachot of tashmishei kedusha, which we're not necessarily going to get into the details of it right now, so we're going to leave these details for Siman Kuf Nun Gimel when we discuss this a little bit more at length. We're going to jump into Sif Bet. Over here, Maran writes, Yachol mi shirtze liknot lo shit hameilin legolel. A person that wants, it could be pretty much anyone, wants to buy and then give them the me'il to the golel, to the person that's doing the hagbaha, ve'en hagolel yachol limchot bo, ki af al pi shekana gelila lo kana likach hame'ilim. Says the Shulchan Aruch, you could divide the kavod of rolling and closing the Sefer Torah to two different parts, and they're going to be separate from one another. One that does Hagbah Gelila, and the other one would be the person that helps put back the Me'ila of the Sefer Torah. Imagine the way the Ashkenazi Sefer Torahs are. They have a gartel, they have a Me'il for the Sefer Torah to cover it properly. And if a person wants to buy the zchut of doing that, the person that is doing Hagbah or Glila cannot really stop him from doing it, because it's two separate things. Even though that they're interconnected, they have to be operating together, but still it's considered two different things. So if someone paid and bought that mitzvah, that zchut, he could do it regardless of the objection of the one doing Hagbah or Glila. Says the Mishnah Berura, but the minhag of the Ashkenazim is that the Chazan is the one that takes the Sefer Torah to the Aron. So unlike the Sfaradim, that someone that buys Hotzat Sefer Torah takes it back also to the Bima, Ashkenazim, as you have seen in the Ashkenazim Minyanim, Well, the Chazan, the one, the Shelach Tzibur, he's the one that takes it back to the Aron Kodesh. Says Marash Aruch in Sif Gimel Agolel Sefer Torah Yamidena Keneged HaTefer. When you do the Glila, when you are closing the Sefer Torah tightly and getting ready for returning it back to the Aron Kodesh, you want it to be the middle of the two parts of the scroll should be in makom of the tefirah, where the two parchments are sewn up together. In this way, if pressure is put on the Sefer Torah, if Chas v'Shalom it undergoes extreme pressure, instead of ripping because the greatest level of pressure is going to be applied to the middle of the two scrolls. The scrolls are holding each other, the different layers that are rolled up. So if this undergoes trauma, the trauma is going to be applied where? To the cleft that's in between the two scrolls, the two parts, right? And that open part is going to rip. And if it's in the middle of a yiriyah, then your Sefer Torah is going to get ripped. But if you make sure that there's makom tefer, where the two are sewn together, two parchments are sewn together, then if it undergoes trauma, it's just going to rip the sewing, and then you can just sew it back up. It's not going to damage your Sefer Torah in an irreversible way. So hence, when you do it, make sure to try to put it in makom hatefer, says the Shulchan Aruch. Says the Shulchan Aruch in Sif Dalet, הגולל ספר תורה גולל מבחוץ, וכשהוא מהדקו מבפנים. Right? When you do the glida, you do from outside, and that's why you have now people who are do Hagbaha, and then the one that does the glida helps out, standing outside, and from the outside they roll it, and then the one inside does the little thing from the bottom to tighten it up. That's the that's the best way of making sure that it is tightly done properly. Says the Mishna Berura, Perush, the Rama adds over here, Perush k'shasefer omed lefanav yaktav neged panav. When the sefer is standing in front of you, when you do hagba, right, the ktav of Sefer Torah is facing you, v'yatchil liglol mibachutz, and then you start rolling it closed from outside, ve'achash kamar ha'gelila yadek sof ha'mitpachat bifnim. You do a little tightening from inside as well. שכשיבוא לקרות בו, ימצא הידוק בפנים, ולא יצטרך להפוך ספר תורה, and you don't need to, this way, turn it around. ונראה דכל זה, מהירי כשאחד עושה כל הגלילה. This is only when one person does what we call הגבהה and גלילה. Nowadays it would be. אבל עכשיו שנוהגים שאחד מגביה ואחד גולל, nowadays that one person picks up and does הגבהה, and the other person does glila from outside, then says the Rama, this whole thing is going to be much easier because haketav yeh keneged hamagbiya, the ketav is going to be in front of the magbiya, the one that picks it up, not the one that rolls it up, which is the way they do it. The one that does hakba, the writing is facing him, and the person that does the glila is the back of the ketav is to him, and he does it from outside. And that's the minhag of the Ashkenazim, ki hu ikar golel ve'aoches sefer Torah, because that is the main part of the glila, and the person that's holding the Sefer Torah. Again, this is less relevant to the way that the Sfaradim have it. We have to discuss this. There are those who want to say that even nowadays the ketav should be facing the people when they do Agbaha, which would be a very difficult thing to do for Ashkenazim. We will, B'ezrat Hashem, try to discuss the details of that in the days to come. Hazak u'Baruch.